District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Sheriff Todd Baxter, Judge Renzi waits me alone in New York State Supreme Court. My name is Chris Chichester. I've never committed a crime. This is a pen. It says the UPS store on it. I was at the UPS store, 620 Park Avenue in Rochester, New York today. Because I mailed you the Freedom of Information Law documentation that I've mailed to you for 18 months. Here are the shipment receipts. I want to point to your names, the official finger of Brooklyn, New York, so you can understand what I'm doing to you. Do you know what I'm doing to you? It says expected delivery date, November 1, 2022, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, 47 South Fitzhugh. It says expected delivery date, November 1, 2022, Sheriff Todd K. Baxter. Expected delivery date, November 1, Alex Renzi, 99 St. Boulevard in Rochester. These two hacks here were about 70 years old, or past 70 years old, I should say. Paul C. Messer, 1985 Bed Road. Semi-illicit defendants in a disgusting, sickening star chamber, you bald-headed widow. Expected delivery date. Ship date, October 31. James C. Mully Jr. Does the name Jermaine Beman sound familiar with you? I'm going to be relentless about you, James C. Mully Jr., Jermaine Beman, how you let this violent dog walk right out the door. You believe in violence, James C. Mully Jr., which I've said to you repeatedly and on this app called TikTok that I'm using. So I have my complimentary pen here at the UPS store. I have another pen from M&T Bank. This is the bank that's across from my regular bank that I've had for 10 years, Canandaigua National Bank. And I have a pen here at M&T Bank. And so I had to open this account here because now that I have money, I have checks and a number of other things. And it says right here, because I'm spending a significant amount of money on YouTube, disgusting, sickening, nauseating degenerates have destroyed my life and character. What you need to know about overdrafts and overdraft fees. So I'm not going to be bouncing any checks on YouTube hacks. But I have this account because now that I have money, I'm only going to use M&T Bank to spend money to communicate with YouTube and Penfield Court, Paul C. Metro, James Mully Jr., Alex Renzi, and when I start to contact the United States Department of Justice, the Office of Governor Kathy Hochul, the United States Attorney for the Western District of Trini Ross, because I'm trying to manage my money. And the reason why I show you this is, as you know, life's about money, and that's not a good thing. Everything I'm going to read to you, the Freedom of Information Law you've received, because this is the way I track it using the United States Postal Service. So today, since it's Sunday, I went to 620 Park Avenue, and the post office is not open, but I love the private sector, and I've communicated with you previously through UPS. So what I'm going to read to you, and you've received it when you sign for it and on email. You can easily block me on email for any number of reasons, but I'm a citizen attempting to communicate with you as taxpayer-supported public officials. And what's that say about you and your employees when you're blocking me when I'm demanding public information? Such as my names and my prosecutors of silence. You better tell me these names, you disgusting, sickening, repulsive diva from Sandra Doorley, and you won't. You will continue to refuse to disclose the names of my prosecutors of silence, and that's why you're corrupt. And I've demanded my prosecutors of silence on October 28th. It's been tracked. I've demanded my prosecutors of silence on October 26th. It's been tracked and emailed. I demanded the names of my prosecutors of silence on October 24th. It's been tracked, emailed, mailed. I demanded the names of my prosecutors of silence on October 14th. It's been tracked, emailed, and mailed. I demanded the names of my prosecutors of silence on September 29th. Right there. There's the receipt for September 29th. And on September 27th, there's the receipt again. I've demanded the names of my prosecutors of silence along with the other information. And on September 26th. This specifically is precisely why you're corrupt, Sandra Doorley. I can't even find out the names of my prosecutors in a public proceeding who don't talk. Is Julie Hahn one of my prosecutors? Is she the disgusting, sickening, repulsive hack who stood in front of John P. Lomenzo Jr. and didn't talk? I don't know. I believe it is Julie Hahn, but I do not know, and I could be wrong. I don't have the arrogance that I'm right about everything, because I'm not you. I'm hoping it's Julie Hahn, who's on Monroe County Court, who I ridiculed in previous YouTube. If you type my name plus Julie Hahn, you'll see it. I do not know the names of any of my prosecutors, including the 5'2" 3-piece suit boy. What's his name? This is the prosecutor, Regina Harper, the public defender's office, said to me, quote, "The prosecutor's not backing down," end quote. Why don't your prosecutor simply call me and I would declare my innocence and explain my innocence? Because it doesn't matter to you. Innocence is alien to you, Sandra Doorley. That's why you were forced to form a conviction integrity unit. So, not only will you get a UPS again, but there's no way I can read all these cards at once. But this is also, these cards here come back to me. Everything I'm going to read, you receive registered mail return receipt. Because this is the return receipt. This is today, 620 Park Avenue. Ground commercial. These are the tracking numbers here. I'm looking at it. 12:04 p.m. I was in there. October 30th. That is. And I previously contacted you on October 3rd. Excuse me, that's October 30th. This is October 3rd right here, and October 17th. So I was in UPS on October 17th, October 3rd, and today. Demanding information from you. I'm not asking you. If you think I'm asking you, then you live in a delusional, psychotic 1984. So, Sheriff Todd Baxter, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. I'm the victim, and I hate that word victim, of an illegal eviction by my psychopath landlords, Giuseppe Spano and Antonino Spano. They locked the doors and locked me out. I don't know this is happening when I'm in Livingston County Jail in Geneseo. I'm in Livingston County Jail in Geneseo, I'm told by a Livingston County Jail employee, because my safety would be compromised at Monroe County Jail because of the Monroe County Sheriff Office employees that work at the jail, because I'm so well known. This is what I'm told. It's not my language. And I was surprised about this, given what I did to you on YouTube and reading your salaries, Todd Baxter. You all know what you paid at Jonestown because of me. So I arrive home from Livingston County Jail, and I don't know what's about to happen to me. I put the key in the front door, and it doesn't turn. I go back to the sliding glass door and push it because it's been broken. It's been fixed. It wasn't fixed when I told my psychopath landlords, Giuseppe Spano and Antonino Spano, to fix it. I have a New York Mets key I taped to the back porch that can't be seen, and that was removed. These cretins, Giuseppe Spano and Antonino Spano, have committed multiple crimes, and I write the criminal complaint. You will not arrest Giuseppe Spano and Antonino Spano, Sheriff Todd Baxter, because you don't know what constitutes a crime. You will not prosecute Giuseppe Spano and Antonino Spano because you don't know what constitutes a crime. So I walked to Harris Whalen Park, and I slept in the park for 3 weeks. And then I was helped by my ex-girlfriend, Laura Riley. But what Laura Riley's not telling me when she came to take me to my present address is that all my things are gone and in a storage locker. And some of my things are gone forever. And now everything is gone forever because my sister Barbara Ann did not pay for the storage locker. So I have things that are gone. And all of this began because of this parking lot and $67,000 Shannon Meyer. A warrant for my arrest for walking through the parking lot. There's two of my neighbors right there, Todd Baxter. Did you arrest my neighbors? Why not? It is now 2 p.m. I guarantee at least 10 people walked through that parking lot today already on this Sunday. None of them were arrested. No one's been arrested for walking through this parking lot. And this Nayrod shot, his 50-year-old psychopath who lives with his 7-year-old mother, see people walk through this parking lot all day long. When I write the criminal complaint about these two, which is falsely reporting an incident and other things that they've done, you will not arrest Nayrod Shah and Layla Kumar Shah. You know why, Todd Baxter? You don't know what constitutes a crime. My friend Adam, who lived next to me, walked through his parking lot. The elderly woman across the street from me walked through his parking lot. Pembroke High School students in a red athletic apparel walked through his parking lot. It's a parade of human beings walking through his parking lot, including when there would be events in Penfield, such as events on June 30, 2019, when there were fireworks and 500 people walked through his parking lot. The sick lunatic fringe of you, Todd Baxter, and your $67,000 vile, disgusting hack, Shannon Meyer, warrant for my arrest for a walk through his parking lot? How's this explained to the Department of Justice? And what did you buy from me that you'll lie about? And I'm going to get to it in the Freedom of Information Law docs. You bought a surveillance device and fixed it to 2025 Penfield Road from me. That's why Elliot Roth, who works at 2025 Penfield Road, says to me, quote, "You're going to be arrested," end quote. I've talked about this repeatedly. Are you going to exist in my three favorite words, saying, "I don't know"? This is what I tell the Department of Justice. Are you going to say, "I don't know what he's talking about with a surveillance device," when the image was on the phone of your Monroe County Sheriff Office employees when I was at the jail, and it has an assigned number? Please exist in "I don't know," Todd Baxter. Freedom of Information Law. My name is Christopher Chichester. I have never committed a crime. The internal disciplinary records of documentation for employees at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office of Sheriff Todd K. Baxter. That Sheriff Todd K. Baxter has disciplined, reprimanded, and terminated from employment at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. If I require this information, which I won't, because you're corrupt and you refuse, the name branding and these will be on it. He robbed a gas station on Ladder Road. Was he a disciplinary problem before he robbed that gas station on Ladder Road? Were there complaints from civilians about Brandon Ladder? I believe the answer is yes, and you will exist in that stone cold silence of corruption. What's the disciplinary process at the sheriff's office? And you don't have one. When I write something like this in this language, I'm confident I know the answer, just like with the district attorney's office, that there is no disciplinary process. You exist to obliterate the civil and constitutional rights of innocent citizens, and I am such an innocent citizen. And when your employees do this, $79,000 Andrew Reale, $67,000 Shannon Meyer, $85,000 Don Benedetto, $91,000 Leela Rowe, Siemens, who attacks me at the Penfield Public Library, there's no process for you at all at the sheriff's office to discipline your employees because you're a feckless stooge, because you're incompetent. Todd Baxter. Freedom of Information Law for the Queen. Who doesn't know if she's a Republican or Democrat? She'll say anything. The internal disciplinary record of documentation for employees of the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. That District Attorney Sandra Doorley has disciplined, reprimanded, terminated from employment at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. I'm in jail without a prosecutor talking in court. Should you fire an assistant district attorney who doesn't talk in court as a defendant is delivered to jail? The entire system of jurisprudence, the entire court system, is based on the First Amendment and communication. Prosecutors talk in court. If a defendant is going to be delivered to jail, a prosecutor should talk in court. Prosecutors never uttered one word in court for me, and I've been in jail 6 times. And you will continue to exist in that stone cold silence of corruption and refuse to disclose the names of my multiple prosecutors. And you also won't discipline them or fire them. Sandra Doorley. Do you know why? Because you're corrupt. Perry Duckles, if you're asked, why did your boss, Sandra Doorley, form a conviction integrity unit? What's the answer? I'm going to write this down for you, and I've communicated with you previously. I will communicate with you again, as I said on a YouTube I did last week. And I will ask you in this next communication that I write down, and you sign for, Perry Duckles, why did your boss, Sandra Doorley, form a conviction integrity unit? And just like your boss, it's going to be stone cold silence from you. The names and salaries of every public employee at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Todd K. Baxter. I'm going to send you, I hope in the next 2 weeks, because it's going to take a lot of writing, a Freedom of Information Law where I demand your salaries in 6-month periods since when you were first elected in January of 2017 and you took office at your Nuremberg rally in January 1, 2018. So, beginning January 2018, your first day in office, in 6-month periods, I'm going to demand your payroll because I want to compare it in those 6-month periods to see who got a raise and by how much. I was given raises in my employment in Albany. That was in the Albany Times-Union and in Newsday and in other publications, newspapers, and read on radio. You know why, Todd Baxter? Because I was a public employee and I existed with taxpayer dollars. And I didn't give a damn that my salary was in the newspaper and that it was read. I didn't care. You care. Do you know why? Because you're fleecing taxpayers. And are you fleecing taxpayers with overtime, a time and a half? the names and salaries of every public employee at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. On the payroll I acquired, you had 15 of your public employees that you paid $100,000 or more. 1. How do you arrive at a salary, Sandra Doorley? The Democratic Chronicle really is a joke of a newspaper, and so is the media all throughout Monroe County. But a question you should be asked by an enterprising reporter, that a reporter who truly knows how to do the job, is how do you arrive at these salaries? How did you decide to pay your employees $110,000, $115,000, $130,000? Was Julie Hahn one of your employees that was paid $100,000? Is Julie Hahn my prosecutor before John P. Lomenzo Jr.? I don't know. When I emailed Kyle Steinbach and said, what are the names of my prosecutors? He refused. Kyle Steinbach, who's now, I think it's Stowe Legal or something like that. And I've copied him on this at his email that I have that's online. So Kyle, I copied you on this. Why did you refuse to answer my question about the names of my prosecutors' assignments when you paid taxpayer dollars here? When your name was once on this foil here. I believe you can be removed from office voluntarily and involuntarily because of these next two about overtime and how you pay your employees beyond that base salary. Employees will abuse overtime. Your employees, Todd Baxter, can drive around in their vehicles for an extra 10, 15, 20 hours a week and bill the taxpayers. And how's that done? In Albany, a long time ago, when I worked for the majority leading government, you filled out a form. And then you had to sign it saying that you worked an extra 10 hours, 15 hours, 20 hours. How's that done at the sheriff's office? Do your employees, if your employee works a 50-hour week, does that employee fill out a form that says and declares that it's 10 extra hours and that employee signs his name? And then you compensate an employee. How's that done? I have not asked that question previously. I've just read this because I was thinking about a different way to ask it. So I just asked you in a different way. And you're going to respond in the same way. The stone cold silence of corruption. The total cost of overtime, time and a half, while paid on a base salary is calculated at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. Do you need clarification from E.B. White and William Strunk Jr. about this language here? Sandra Doorley? Does your health and the radical decline of your health prevent you from answering this question? Do you go into the office, Sandra Doorley, for a standard 40-hour work week? And have you read documentation I've sent you? Because this is coming in the next 24 to 48 hours. Because the UPS tracking cards are right there. Sandra Doorley, what's not to understand? I will tell Controller Thomas P. DiNapoli that I sent this to you today and previously for the last 18 months, and you're refusing to answer. If Controller Thomas P. DiNapoli demands of you, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, what I just did about overtime, time and a half, however pay is done beyond a 40th hour, will you refuse to comply with the control of the state of New York? The answer is yes. Because you're corrupt. Kathleen Miller, what's it like to work at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office? Do you think the Monroe County Sheriff's Office employees comport themselves with the highest degree of professionalism, character, morality? And the answer is no. Have you seen this up close? Sexual harassment, as you understand the term. Do you know what sexual harassment is? Kathleen Miller. Have you, Kathleen Miller, been sexually harassed at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office? Have you been informed that another female employee has been sexually harassed at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office? As you understand the term, I'm not going to tell you what it is. You know exactly what I'm talking about. How do these animals behave at the sheriff's office when they're around you, Kathleen Miller? Are you in fear at any point at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office when a certain Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee is around you that you know is set to arrest you or another employee? Freedom of Information Law. The cost of taxpayers of Monroe County District Attorney Sandra Doorley expending taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits fair to comply with Title VII Civil Rights Act 1964. Michelle Crowley, the director of the grand jury. You've been sexually harassed at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. Have you, Michelle Crowley, been told by another employee at the District Attorney's Office that she's been sexually harassed? What's the answer, Michelle Crowley? Have you at any point gone to District Attorney Sandra Doorley and told District Attorney Sandra Doorley you were aware of sexual harassment at the District Attorney's Office? What's the answer, Michelle Crowley? How am I indicted when I don't know the grand jury's convened and you don't call me to the grand jury? You're serving me up as your ham sandwich, that's why. You should be disbarred, Michelle Crowley, and I will pursue your disbarment with the Appellate Division of State Supreme Court. But right now, I'm just existing on YouTube, and I'm going to start to write. Sheriff Todd Baxter, District Attorney Sandra, Doorley, Alex Renzi, at least 3 times a week, 1,000 words, instead of just existing on YouTube. So I'm existing on YouTube to use the Freedom of Information Law to tell you directly what I think about your repulsive, sickening existence. So, Michelle Crowley, how am I indicted when 1, I don't know the grand jury's convened, and 2, you don't call me to the grand jury? When you became a member of the bar, you swore an oath. And then you smashed your own oath into a million little pieces when you violated my civil and constitutional rights, Michelle Crowley. And that doesn't matter to you at all. I'm walking through this parking lot next to my residence for the 4,000th time, and a psychopath named Shah, who lives with his mother, 50-year-old man lives with his mother, starts to scream at me. And then he goes to the sheriff's office. Now, Todd Baxter, this surveillance device that's on 2025 Penfield. I'm not going to hold up the picture now because time's in essence for me today. Nayraj Shah went to your office. Is that private technology you used to concoct a crime for me and walk through a parking lot? This parking lot right here. It's right next to 2025 Penfield Road. Is that private technology for a business called Consumer Insights, where Ellie Roth is the president? Or did you buy that camera and fix it for me? You again exist in that stone cold silence of corruption. See my 2 neighbors here? They walk through this parking lot. Is Shannon Meyer still employed at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office? The answer is yes. Do you know why you won't fire her? Because you're corrupt, Todd Baxter. Because you exist in that fanaticism of a diseased mind. You believe in the leveling of the innocent citizen. That's why you employ a $67,000 cop from hell, Shannon Meyer, and that's why you won't fire her. Also, because you're the blue wall silence. Doesn't matter that she's as corrupt as it gets. Doesn't matter that you employ a violently attacking me at the Pempton Public Library in Wegmans and at the jail. You exist in that blue wall of silence that's been around since at least Frank Serpico in New York City in the 1960s. You're the blue wall of silence in Monroe County, Todd Baxter. And you're going to be silent about this. You're taking pictures of employees underwater. This specifically, precisely, is why you're corrupt. When I'm reading this language, it's an next poem. And if somehow you're confused and in delusion about why you're corrupt, don't be. This language here is why you're corrupt. I'm not going to show this picture again because it's in the interest of time. But I will show it again soon. The cost of taxpayers for photography session approved by Monroe County Sheriff Todd K. Baxter, photo of 10 Monroe County Sheriff Office employees underwater in a pool. I didn't laugh when I wrote this, and I used to ridicule this and laugh. I'm not laughing anymore. You know why, Todd Baxter? Because corruption shouldn't be laughed at. This is an absolute total disgrace. This photograph here. Just like with the surveillance device. Is it private money that bought that fucking contraption? Or did you buy it with taxpayer dollars? Is this private money here, Todd Baxter, for this photograph underwater in a pool? Is this a private event or is this tax dollars? What's the answer? Ryan Fisher, Atlanta, Georgia, the redneck South. Why? At the Super Bowl? Why? With his dog? Why? You don't think you have to answer any of those questions? There's no accountability for you, yet you demand accountability of others. The hypocrisy of you is predictable and sickening. What was Ryan Fisher doing? Did you sign a voucher? Is your name on a voucher, if it's called a voucher, or some other document where it says Todd K. Baxter for a plane ticket for Ryan Fisher, where it says Todd K. Baxter for a hotel for Ryan Fisher, where it says Todd K. Baxter for the care and feeding of his German Shepherd Lola? There has to be some type of documentation for Ryan Fisher to leave Rochester, New York, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office and travel to Atlanta, Georgia. Where's that documentation? The cost for a hotel and plane ticket for Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee Ryan Fisher to attend the Super Bowl in Atlanta, Georgia with his canine dog Lola on February 3rd, 2019. Todd Baxter, why are your employees overweight? When I was at Monroe County Jail the last time, and I hope it's going to be the final time, there was a female employee that would walk on the tier, I think it's called, where I would look up at her, and she would walk back and forth in the section of the jail I was in. This is a different part of the jail that I was in. I've been all over that jail, and I haven't seen any part of this jail before. And I could hear the inmates above me fighting. And this is why I'm going to write a Freedom of Information law about violence at Monroe County Jail, where I can hear the inmates attacking each other. And one night, two inmates fell on top of each other. At least that's what it sounded like. And when I would look up and I would see the Monroe County Sheriff's Office employees at the jail, it was easy for me to determine that they were overweight, including one female in particular who was about 40 pounds overweight. She was there all the time, walking by me. And whenever she would walk by me, I had the same thought. She's overweight, and it's a disgrace. So I'm going to return to YouTube and in writing about the violence at the jail. And I believe, and I'm confident I'm correct, that there's violence at your jail with inmates attacking inmates, employees attacking inmates attacking employees, and you don't report it. You want it to go away and cover it up. And yes, cover up. Cover-ups do happen. There's violence at Monroe County Jail, and I'm absolutely confident you cover up that violence with your employees. You don't want anybody to know about that, because that's going to expose you as the feckless stooge that you are, where you can't control violence in your own jail. So Todd Baxter, this is about physical fitness of your employees. And your employees are not physically fit. I would guess that at least half of your employees have weight problems, including this female I would see walking along the second tier or floor of the jail. And every time she would pass me, I think, yeah, that's an overweight employee, and it's typical of what you want at the sheriff's office. Tell your employees to lose weight and get in shape and institute a physical training program. You won't, because you're corrupt. What are the physical training standards and requirements at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office? Sheriff Todd Baxter. You have none. Why do you pay Michael Radler $0 on the payroll? And is he paid private money from your campaign accounts you created in 2017 when you ran for election the first time, and in 2021 when you ran for re-election? Is he paid private money? Is he paid any sum of money? I will go to the New York State Board of Elections, the Monroe County Board of Elections, and elsewhere to obtain a list of all your campaign contributors. And if there is a check or a dispersal or any funds going to Michael Rather, and he's on the payroll for $0 and goes into work at 130 South Plymouth Avenue, he's paid private money to work at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. I do not know the legality of that. It's unethical. I do not know if that's the case, though, if he's paid private money. Why would he go into the office for $0? I will ask Controller Thomas P. DiNapoli to demand from you if you're using private money, be it campaign contributions or other private money, to pay Michael Rather to go into Monroe County Sheriff's Office. A $0 employee. The joke of you, the criminality of you is predictable. Like I said, who's at your jail? The name and charge of every inmate of Monroe County Sheriff Todd K. Baxter's Monroe County Jail from January 2018 to October 30, 2022. I'm in there with the murderers, the rapists, the wife beaters. I'm in there with a man who charged with murder. This elderly inmate, he was about 70 years old. His name is Bob. Pointed to a man, he said he's charged with murder, and his picture was in the Democrat and Chronicle. Separate the violent inmates from the non-violent inmates. How come you don't know this? How come you don't do this? What is wrong with you, Todd Baxter? This is common sense. Because you can protect yourself. Todd Baxter. There are inmates in Monroe County Jail in total fear about what's happening at that jail and how easy it is for one inmate to harass another inmate. An inmate can walk by another inmate, and this will happen. And there will be an exchange of language where the inmate will say, will use the language of violence. I'll beat the shit out of you. I'll get your shit out of your language. In fact, I've heard that exact language. I've seen fights at the jail in Livingston County, and I've seen fights at the jail in Monroe County. I've seen violence. When I say fights, real fights where punches are being exchanged. I've seen assaults also. So I've seen fights where punches are exchanged by inmates. I've seen assaults where inmates assault other inmates. I've seen this violence. This violence happens at your jail, and you're covering it up. I'm absolutely convinced you're covering up violence at Monroe County Jail. What do you think about the accusation I just made upon you, Todd Baxter? Respond in writing to me. Give me these names, Sandra Doorley, and you'll refuse, just like with Todd Baxter and Stone Cold Silence of Corruption. Prosecutors talk to court. These next 3 Freedom of Information Law documents, I'm demanding these names. I think there are at least 4 names, because this is going to be one for John P. Lomenzo Jr., is that Julie Hahn? There's going to be one for Paul C. Metzer, and then I believe that there were 2 for Alex Renzi, but I don't know. You do. Tell me the names. You disgusting, sickening, party-switching diva from hell. Documentation for the case for Christopher Chichester with John P. Lomenzo Jr. in Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? Documentation for the case for Christopher Chichester with Paul C. Metzer in Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? Documentation for the case for Christopher Chichester with Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court. What is the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? They just compelled me, these 2 females. I believe this is what happened. I have to guess what happens to me because you're refusing to respond. I'm at my temporary place of employment, and then I'm commanded to be in front of Alex Renzi. I get this letter in the mail. I think I'm finished and done, and then there I am back in front of him. I had to walk over there to 99 Exchange. And because your 2 females decided I should be in jail. This is how easy it is to be in jail. This is what I think happened, but I don't know. I'm guessing. I have to guess because you're refusing to disclose facts and circumstances to me. I'm at my temporary residence. I get a letter in the mail. I have to appeal for Alex Renzi, who exists without a jury of 12, without a prosecutor standing right next to me that I can see, and that talks in court, without a witness box for testimony. I appear before him, the 2 females behind me, and then he remands me to Monroe County Jail. How's that constitutional? Freedom of Information Law. List of defendants in Pemberton Town Court for Paul C. Metzler. Do you, Paul C. Metzler, and that skinhead that's on loan from the Aryan Brotherhood, know what I'm talking about here? You 70-year-old hack and widow from hell? Send me a list of defendants. And you know what's not a list of defendants? You skinhead from the Aryan Brotherhood? That's not it. That's not a list of defendants in Pemberton Town Court. This is right here. It says I'm going to point to this with the official finger, Brooklyn, New York, for you skinhead widow. Town Court, Town of Penfield, 1985 Bad Road. That's not a list of defendants. I didn't open this up because it's going to enrage me. And it would enrage any citizen, demanding something as simple as a list of defendants, and the court refused to provide a list of defendants. Just like the other hack, $34,000 hack. I got the $28,000 hack and the $34,000 hack. I'm going to get your personal finances soon, which I've already demanded and you refused, but I'm going to do it again. Paul C. Metzler. Jeff Stocks and Bonds, and where are they? James McMillan Jr., Stocks and Bonds, right now, James McMillan Jr. This is what I'm demanding of you. List of defendants, Pemberton Town Court for James McMillan Jr., and that includes Jermaine Bennett. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Violent crime. The name Dan Glaus III, accused child rapist, will be on this foil. Send me the names for this guy. A list of defendants of Pemberton Town Court for John P. Lomenzo Jr., and the name Dan Glaus III will be on here. $203,000 Alex Renzi. Excuse me, $200,000 Alex Renzi. He doesn't make $203,000. I think he's just at $200,000 exactly. A list of defendants in the New York State Supreme Court for Alex Renzi. The arrogance of this guy, the elitism of this guy, the corruption of this guy. He will look at this, which he has received. I'm going to guess the way he looks at this. When he looks at this exact language, when he looks at this tomorrow when it arrives, or in the next 48 hours, Alex Renzi will be enraged. Then that's corruption. Where he thinks, who is this guy to be asking me for information such as a list of defendants? This is specifically precisely corruption. Alex Renzi will refuse to comply, and I'm guessing that when he looks at this, he will be in a rage or near a rage about how he's being held accountable. Just like you two, I believe. If you're not in a rage, since I don't really know your temperament, I hesitate to guess at something like that. But I believe that you can get to a point where you are certainly angry at being the focus of the Freedom of Information Law and how I'm demanding information from you. But I would really like to know if Alex Renzi thinks this is an affront to to him, the exalted one there at the 99 Exchange in New York State Supreme Court, when I'm demanding information of public proceeding, which is a list of defendants. He will not comply. I believe even if the United States Department of Justice tells him and audits him and directs him to comply, he won't. Just like if you're ordered and told and directed by the United States Department of Justice to comply with all these laws, you'll refuse to, Todd Baxter and Sandra Doorley, because you're corrupt. Cost taxpayers will all travel out of Monroe County, New York State by employees at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Todd K. Baxter, Freedom of Information Law. I hope that this, if you comply with it, and you won't, but hypothetically, if you comply with this, the cost of travel, it will enrage the citizens of Monroe County. You're sending your employees like Ryan Fisher to Atlanta. You, Todd Baxter, trying to get to this, we're in Watkins Glen. How much did that cost taxpayers in Monroe County? You send your employees on junkets. Junkets enrage taxpayers. Your employees that have been on these junkets, such as to the conferences in Albany and Washington, D.C., know that they've been on junkets and they've been away from Monroe County. So, you know exactly what I'm talking about here, what I'm referring to, what I'm demanding of you, and you refuse to comply. Just like the Queen refused to. The cost of taxpayers will all travel out of Monroe County, New York State, by employees of the Monroe County District Attorney's Office with District Attorney Sandra Doorley. Have you been to a conference, Sandra Doorley, where you sat down around a table, such as for the District Attorneys Association in the state of New York, where you talk about what happens in Monroe County? Like, for example, with the District Attorney of Suffolk County. Are you familiar with what has happened in Suffolk County, where I'm from, along now with the District Attorney? And the sheriff in that county? It really is quite something. What has happened in Suffolk County with the district attorney and sheriff. I think his name is Timothy Sinai, but I'm not sure. That's why I'm hesitating to disclose their names. But it really is a freak show where I'm from in Suffolk County with the sheriff and the district attorney. So, what's not to understand, Sandra? You do fail to understand. Corruption fails to understand. Please be traveling to conferences. Perry Duckles, have you been to a conference? You know the answer, Perry. This is the Watkins Glen trip. This is the final one. Just sitting here in a race car. I mean, really, Lex Luthor. How much did it cost for you, Todd Baxter, to be sitting in a race car in Watkins Glen? Who'd you take with you? Total cost of the trip to Watkins Glen, New York by Sheriff Todd Baxter. What a joke. Freedom of Information Law. You refuse to comply with every single one. Even though I was at the UPS store. And I'm going to show you again, this corruption requires repetition. The documents where it's going to show the expected delivery date, which is way back over here. Pardon me. Yes. So what I just read to you, and I'm communicating with all of you at that repulsive little shack at 47 South Fitzhugh and 130 South Plymouth Avenue and 1985 Bed Road, Penford Town Court. What I just read to you, I'm not going to say it again. I have it right here. It's being tracked. UPS. Send me the information. And you will refuse. It's exactly, precisely, is why you're corrupt. Todd, have you ever heard the expression about the police when they talk to each other and they want to brag to each other? The expression about, we went through doors together. You ever heard that, Todd? Todd, you coming through this door for me at the Bryant Memorial Library? I mean, should I be prepared for you and your fellow psychopaths to come through this door? In all seriousness, I used to watch the show NYPD Blue, and I love that show. It has not been on for a long time. And this is Dennis Franz plays Andy Sipowicz, and the great David Caruso plays his partner. And then he was only on for the first year, and then Jimmy Smits took over for the David Caruso role. I'm trying to remember the name of the character played by David Caruso, because it was John something. But anyway, on that show, I had seen the characters use the phrase, we went through doors together. So when I look at myself here on YouTube and I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking about, how does a psychopath cop think? So Todd, psychopath cops love to talk about how they went through doors together. So have you ever been through a door, Todd? You bragged about it? That's what I'd like to know. So my legal eviction, I have nothing. I don't own anything. Because if Giuseppe Spano and Antonino Spano lock the doors and lock me out, that's a crime. I'm locked out without a court order, and everything I own is gone. And I'm not going to dwell on this because I showed things that I don't own anymore, but I want to get back to you, Todd Baxter, because it enrages me. I adopted my dog from Isle Pop Farms Humane Society in 2012, and you came to my residence demanding my dog based on one phone call from Neeraj Lila Kumar Shah, 2033 Penfield Road, and that's him. Do you, Todd Baxter, understand that human beings love their dogs with every fiber of their being, with their hearts and their souls? Everything that the human being has aside, everything is love for a dog. That human being owns a dog. I set up my front door. You have to kill me to take my little guy from me. I'm not going to dwell on that. How do the cops come to the house of an innocent man and demand his dog when that innocent man is walking his dog for 7 years and 4,000 times? The reason why I cite that again is when I adopted him, my ex-girlfriend, Laura Riley, we were asked, have you ever been arrested? And the answer in 2012 is no. The question that should have been asked is, have you ever committed a crime? And I would have said no. And if I was asked that again when I went back to Lollipop Farm Humane Society, if I was asked that tomorrow if I went, have you ever committed a crime? The answer would be no, and that's the truth. And that's relevant to you. A prosecutor's never talked in court. Yet I've been in jail 6 times, and you're refusing to disclose the names of my prosecutor's silence. And how is that explained to the United States Department of Justice and the United States Attorney for the Western District of New York, Trinity Ross, Sandra Doorley, you, Sheriff Todd Baxter, you, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, you, Judge Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court, have destroyed my life.